All right, what's up, guys? So today we're going to be taking what we have so far as the elevations and the floor plan, and we're going to be putting it into a simple Paperspace model. All right. Again, this is kind of like a truncated short project, so this is just your weekly milestone, but kind of an extended one from the previous week. So the first thing we need to do is we're actually going to set up text in here, and so what you'll need to do is let me see if it. So from the annotate menu, let's see, we want to open up the line that says standard right here, and we're going to go to manage text styles. And what we have to do is we have to set up a text style. We're only going to set up one for this, but I'll have a document that I'm going to be kind of going off of for you guys to download, where you will be setting up more in the project for this section. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and stick with the standard right here. But I'm gonna, anytime you work with something, um, I think it's best to duplicate it, or at least create a new one so that you can keep working off that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have standard selected, and I'm gonna click on new, and I'm just gonna call this title. We'll call it title for now. And then let me see what the other size is, just to make sure I get it right. Okay, just to be consistent across these. Okay, so we've got title. It's going to be Arial. We're going to leave the font at regular. We will set the height to 1/6 of an inch, and if you tab out of there or move out of there, it's going to change to 3/16. Don't worry about that. That's just AutoCAD being AutoCAD. So if I have 1/6 here and click out, it's going to change to 3/16. That has a lot to do with the some of the settings we set earlier when we did units. Um, just don't worry about it. We'll kind of get into that a little bit later. So we're going to set that right there to, again, 1/6, though it's going to come out as 3/16, and leave all these other settings. And then, oh yeah, let's save changes. And then I'm going to do new off of that again, and I'm going to do this one at 1/12. So again, we'll, oh, shoot. No, sorry, name. We'll call this note. So we got title and note. And then this one, oh my god, I cannot click today. Note is going to be 1/12, which actually I think it's fine. No, okay. Yeah, so that'll go to 1/16, because 16th is our denominator or whatever it is. All right, so 1/16 there. I'll hit apply just so we've got that. So again, note is 1/16, title is 3/16. So I'm going to hit close right there. So we've got all these floor plan, or we've got our floor plan, we've got all these elevations that we're going to present in here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to layout down here. I'm going to click on this once. And so right now it presents you with what's called a viewport, but the first thing we need to do that we care about is we're actually going to change the size of this sheet of paper. So I'm going to right click on this, and first I'm going to go to rename, and we're going to call this plan view. All right. It's not important for a naming schema for this project. Just know that that's how you rename things, right click and then rename. So from there, I'm also going to go to Page Setup Manager right here in this menu. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Modify. And it's going to give me a whole bunch of settings here. What's important, and I'm sorry, Mac users, I do not have any idea what this looks like for you guys. I know it's going to be a little bit different. So you might have to kind of figure your way out through here. What I typically do, because generally I export to PDF and then print, is I'm going to go ahead and open this menu right here. It's going to have a whole bunch of stuff, especially if you already installed um, uh, the Adobe Creative Suite from the previous lectures. So I'm going to click on Adobe PDF right here from the printer, and that's going to give me options that printer is going to allow me to print on. And then if I open this up, it's going to give me all the print sizes. For this, I think we should do Arc B. So yeah, and this is a 12. Oh, actually, so Arc Arc B is architectural size, and it's a 12 by 18. You can see that in this little display here. But if we go up to Arc C, we get 18 by 24. And if we go to D, we get 24 by 36. So it's this progression that we can use to keep scaling up paper sizes. For this, I think we're only going to use Arc B. We'll see how it turns out. Let's see. So once I have that selected, I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to obviously change the size of my paper that I'm working with here. And I'm going to hit close because I'm done with that now. So this right here is what's called a viewport. So you can see that if I hover over it, or I can select it right there, it turns dark. I can actually click on it and select it. And a viewport is essentially a window into your model space. All right. So if I hit escape, so if I double click on here, you can see that now the edge is permanently dark, and then it looks like I've got the same pointer that I have over here in model space, whereas I would not have that over here. See how it turns back to the normal one over here? So if I double click in here, you can see that that changes, and then and then it's double clicked outside of that area to reset. Now, if one of the issues that people get caught up in a lot is you zoom in really close on your space right here in the viewport, and then double click, and now no matter what you do, you can't zoom out of this, so you will have to type underscore, and it's either, well, it's showing up differently. You can see the command right here in the console kind of queue right there. So if I do p space, there we go. Okay, it's just p space then. Yeah, p space, and that will get you back out of here so you can zoom back out. Another thing that's worth mentioning, and I'm going to have to kind of adjust myself here so we can see what, I guess we're stuck here. But when you double click on here, you can see that there's this weird number that shows up right here, and it's the scale of the viewport that you're working at. So if I'm working at 1/4 inch equals 1 foot, which is a fairly common scale, I can do that. I can set this to 1/4 inch equals 1 foot, and you can see it rescales the viewport. And then I can now move around with the middle mouse just like I'm in the other view. Once I can do that, let's also turn off the grid right here. So turn that grid off because we don't really need to see it. And then I can double click outside of here to get back out of there. Next I can come up here and resize this window, double click in, and just kind of move this into the right position. Okay. I try not to have too much overhang from the viewport window itself, just so that it doesn't kind of clog or clutter the rest of my project. One other thing we're going to do before we move on from here is I'm going to go to Home again, and I'm going to open up my layer properties. I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call this one Viewports. And I'm going to change the color of this to like this fuchsia bright pink. And one of my habits that I've gotten into is anything that shouldn't show up in a print is going to be some kind of obnoxious pink like that. I don't think I did anything in Illustrator, but that's usually how I document notes on things, just to differentiate them from things. So I've got that fuchsia pink color right there. I'm going to hit OK. So anything that's on that viewport layer is going to be that color. All right. So we can close this. Now I'm going to select the viewport, and I'm going to move it over to that layer. So now the border of the viewport has changed to that color. So once I've got that, and when I go to print, or just typically when I'm working, I'm going to turn this viewport layer off, or I can, one of the other options I have is to, there it is, okay, is to, let's see, one of these is for print. Oh, obviously it's the printer icon here. So you can disable this by clicking on that little print option as well. But I don't like reviewing things with, I like to see what I'm going to print, just personal preference. When you do have the viewports turned off, you still can double click inside of them and you will see the border that's there, but once you double click outside of it, it goes away. So I'm going to leave this on for now just so you guys can see what's going on behind the scenes. So I have my floor plan here. I'm going to use 1/4 inch equals 1 foot. If you have a stranger, weirder size than I have going on here, you might have to adjust for that. but in this case, this is fine for what I'm doing. Um, all right, so I'm gonna move that up there, and then we're gonna create new viewports. And so to do that, I'm going to type view and port. There we go. And it's going to ask me how I want to bring these new viewports in. There are a whole bunch of different ways. In the past, I've also said, hey, just clear everything out and start a new one. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do single, and then it gives you the option down here of specifies first corner or fit, and then some of the other ones have like crazier options. I'm just going to do a click and drag right here, and then I'm going to double click inside of this. And again, I'm going to come down here and set the scale of this drawing to 1/4 inch equals 1 foot. Actually, no, we're going to have to go smaller because we got to have a lot of stuff to cram in here. So we'll do 1/8 inch on this one, just for the sake of this. Okay, so I've got my my elevations going on right here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of position that so that it's not kind of showing too. It's in the right position here, but the higher ceilings off to the right are not going to be sticking out. Now, there's a couple options and different ways people do this. I honestly think it's personal preference. Some people will create one viewport like this, where they'll have that spread out over multiple spots, and others will get that in spot. Other people, and you're me included, let's get that right there. Will instead do like a copy paste thing where you just paste. I should just do an array, but I'm not. Okay, and just paste out 4 sections there and then move this along. So you do have a little bit more of alignment issues trying to get things set up with this, and it is a little bit more tedious, but it's kind of not everything is going to be lined up as well as the elevations that you're working with. Oops. So it's all kind of personal preference on that, and depends somewhat on what you're working on. Um, but doing either method, it's not illegal or whatever. So don't worry about that. Let's get this here. All right, we'll extend that out, and I'm just trying to get sort of good spacing on these, because again, we're going to hide these, so those lines aren't going to be as apparent. So, and then, so that's the first set, second set, and then just for the sake of speed, I'm going to do this back down to the bottom one here, just so you can see that there are advantages to doing it like that. Okay, so we've got all these here. I'm actually going to pull this down a little bit too. Generally, when you're putting your construction plans together, um, especially if they're going to be printed, you don't want to waste a whole bunch of space. Um, it costs money to print these sheets, and especially when you're talking about entire projects where you might have 200, 300 sheets, and that's getting reprinted once a week to update the crew on the construction site. You're talking about a lot of extra money and waste going into that. So keep your drawings tight when you are doing them, but for the sake of this, we're not going to worry about too much of it. That and PDFs are starting to become really popular, but I know that a lot of people like having the print copy, and then I think you can visualize things on the print copy better as well. So anyway, back to this. So we have those elevations laid out, and again, missed that one. I'm just going to assign these to the viewport layer, and then we can turn the viewport layer off, and that's getting the elevation set up. So um, I'm gonna close this demo down, and then we'll come back with building the labels that are gonna go with these. So where did it go? So I'll see you guys back in the next video.